All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the 43rd CALLERLAB Convention in Norfolk, Virginia. Today is March 22nd, and the name of this session is Agents of Harmony. And I am joined, my name is Matt Worley, I'm your moderator, and I'm joined with our panelists, Mr. Tim Marriner, and we also have Chuck and Gerry Hardy with us today. Give them a hand, yes.
Howdy.
Thank you.
And I think we're gonna start with Mr. Tim.
All right. Great. Well, thank you, Matt. Appreciate it. Session right after lunch, which our job is to keep you awake. So we're going to do that. First of all, we've done sessions in the past about harmony in different intersessions like this. And they're interesting because a lot of people come in and think, oh, I can't do it, or they don't have a notion that they can. And it's a matter of that harmony exists in the music, in the melodies, and all of the things that we have in our activity. Vocally, there's harmonics when you have more than one person, and Matt's going to show you how to do it where even you can harmonize with yourself. So these are great things. We sometimes have an occasion we get the opportunity to work with another caller. And what do? And how do I make that work and sound good? How do we make things in vocals blend? And a lot of that comes with pre-planning. And you have to also be aware, am I singing with a fellow male vocal who has a big, deep, resonating type of vocals, or somebody with a higher timbre? And if they know what they sing, and if they're very good at singing melody, and the other isn't, you have to kind of know each other's abilities and capabilities. Another thing you have to be aware of is to be careful, or not just to know who you're singing with, but also if you're singing with a female vocalist or male with female in these sorts of scenarios, which I'm sure Chuck and Gerry are going to demonstrate as we go on. And all of these things take different, just a little bit of subtleties, different dynamic to have to do that. Because we all sing in different range. Right now I'm not doing much singing because I'm rasping a whole lot lately from overuse of the vocals, one of those things. So I'm drinking plenty of water as everybody else is up here, and in order to try to make that work. So we will rasp on. To get things going, first of all, there's this thing as what is harmony? And if you do what everybody else has said in the past, that it's everything that's not the melody. And that there's different types of harmonics. We have stuff that sounds good and stuff that doesn't sound good. Right? Something that has dissonance, is a little kind of irritates a little bit, or something that has just blends and technically works really good. Sometimes they call that consonance. It sounds good. And these types of harmonics are all entwined with the music that we have in our industry. We have to be able to sometimes also know if the music has vocal backgrounds and things, and where to sing and where not to sing over some of the music. And I, for one, think we have right now some of the best music in the industry. We have to be careful not to over-sing on top of maybe something that's really good on the record or the recording, MP3s or whatever you're using. So just be aware of that we have that capability, but sometimes we have to learn about how to do it. This is why I guess some of you are here today, to figure out how can I assist in doing that? What's the part that I can play in maybe doing that? Going in with the notion that we all can try it, and it's acquired skill. Each of you has the ability to learn it. So one of the biggest aspects, though, is that you have to have somebody to sing that melody, that what we call the anchor melody of the tune. Without the melody being sung, a harmonic all by itself isn't anything. It's just a counter melody of what's being played, of the melody. So if you have somebody that you're working with and you want to be able to stress that they know the melody, you want to practice with them. and sing in unison, which means you're singing the same key, and you're singing that song exact the same way. And once you have the melody down, and you know each other has the melody down, then somebody can start playing, if they have that ability, to sing something that's not the melody. And that's where we start getting into harmonics. Now, we'd like to demonstrate that with you, if we could, if the entire room would just stand up for a second and help us sing a melody that I believe most the entire world knows, and that's the song Happy Birthday. Okay? So I'd like for all of us to sing Happy Birthday. Ready? Go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Wonderful. Now look, before you sit down, before you sit down. We did a great job of singing Happy Birthday. It was a melody each of us has heard all our lives how to do that. Now what we're going to do, and I heard Chuck over here do a little counter harmonic, which was really nice, and this is what we're going to try to do. I'm going to sing the melody, as raspy as I am, and we'll have Matt sing the melody, and well, actually, we'll have Matt sing some bass, and do you mind singing some different parts?
All right.
So I'm going to sing the melody. Those that know the melody, you continue on and sing the melody. But those that have the ability that can find a harmonic, which would be a third or a fifth or anything thereof, you're welcome to try it. Let's just see if we can do it. Ready? On three. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Did you hear that? Well, it was like being in church. Sit down and relax a second, guys. Super. That was so nice. We shall pass the plate. Folks that came in after the recession, thanks for coming and joining us now. But the idea here is the anchor melody must be known. If you're singing Rocky Top, if you're singing mountain music, if you're singing Wheels, whatever it is you're singing, the individual that is anchored, that's going to be singing the melody, has to stick to it. If they drift off of the melody and go into a harmonic, everything crumbles. And sometimes you have to plan that ahead of time. And that means being honest with your abilities or inabilities. When you get 2 or 3 people together and you're going to do something together to share for calling, then just kind of know what your strong points are and say, hey, look, I'm really good with this song, Mountain Music. I'd like to stick to the melody. And you go, great, you do that. You have to have somebody do that. So that individual is now going to sing the melody of Mountain Music. And then you look at the other people and they'll say, oh, I can sing the third, or I can sing above that or a little below it. And you say, great, you go with that. And it's a situation where when you get to singing, you want to find the blend. Now, the melody has to be consistent, as I said before, but the harmonics can't be overriding the melody. If the harmonics get over loud, then again, you can't find the melody because they're just kind of stepping on top of the melody itself. So just be aware that you still have to have somebody sing that melody very strong without drifting off of it. So an individual, Matt was able to bring in an app, and the grandkids showed me this, and we saw it on TV, but the grandkids were playing with an app that you can get that has a piano key or a keyboard on it. And so we've brought it in, and that's the key of C. That's middle C, I think, in fact, right there. And then we're going to go above that, and then there is a C, which is an octave above that. So we have these 2 C's and this 2 C's. Let's just say this C is about a mid-range for a male vocal. And let's say that this C here might be the mid-range of a female vocal. Might be, I don't know. Or not. Maybe it's A. Okay. But the idea that you have these octaves here when played together. Or I could do it like a piano, Matt said. Ooh. Okay. Now, you're still singing C. And if you stick to the melody of the song, you would, with a male and a female, you're singing this melody in what I would say would be unison. You're not exactly singing the same note, but you are singing the melody in a female voice as you would in a male voice, and you're singing it. Now, that in of itself would sound good, still sound good. But again, you still have to stick to, somebody has to maintain the melody before you drift off of it for somebody else to sing anything else. So just looking at these keys on a keyboard. Now, did you know that the black keys on a keyboard, on a piano, are harmonics to each other? I can hit that, this, that, this. Oh, I missed one. And they sound really nice. They no matter how you hit these, they're always in a nice harmonic sound between all of the black keys, but not the white keys. When you hit the white keys that are one beside each other, and then you hear that little edginess. It's dissonance, exactly. It's dissonance. Now, there's some that are apart from each other that sound better than others. That sounds nice. That sounds really nice, in fact. And so you have thirds, you have fifths, and then you have an octave, which is your seventh, okay, all the way up. So it's a matter of practicing maybe with a keyboard to get the sound and be able to sing the tune together with the keyboard, and then finding a harmonic that will, that's not it, that will be able to sound in a very nice tonality. Just practice is one of the things that you have to do. You're not going to get up there and wing it with great success. The more you get an opportunity to, prior to an event, work some of these details out, the better. And you folks, everybody can sing to a lot of different styles of music. You just have to be aware that there are some songs where harmonics are lend to very, very, very well. And there's some songs out there that are in minor keys that in order to find a harmonic that sounds good, you have to sing in another minor key. And you have to be aware of how to do that. And that's a little more difficult than it sounds. It really is. So if the song already has a minor key in it, that might not be the tune to sing a harmonic with, what I call a duet, with more than one caller. But again, Matt will show you things how to make it work with overlapping vocals, and then we're going to work on, with Chuck and Gerry, on how to be able to see the different male and female vocal blends with that. So, any questions thus far about harmony? Yes. Oh, we need the microphone, and we need to state your name and where you're from, and all of those goodies, so we get on the recording.
Van Webster Cure from Minnesota, Prior Lake. Yeah, you know, when you played the D and C together, you can do that if you put the D on the bottom and the C on the top, and an F sharp and an A, and you can have a D7. Well,
and now you're really going to some music theory, but you're right. There's ways of making those sound really good. And just be aware, though, that most of us don't have that knowledge of how to make that happen. It is right.
Pat Push, New Rochelle, New York. Just something that I know and I've experienced myself. If you are coming from very different places, the way you pronounce a word will affect its I don't know if it's pitch, but it won't sound right. You might be dead on the note, but it won't sound right unless you're pronouncing it the same way, especially if it's a diphthong at the end. Words like stay. There's two parts to stay.
Correct. And in a southern vernacular, we're really good at adding extra e's at the end of our word. Stay. And somebody is singing stay, like Tom, don't go stay. And it's hard to, but if you keep the vowel open and it's stay, keep the stay and then cut it off. Stay. That's something to harmonize too. But if you go into the E and everybody's singing in a different type of ending sound, and there's people that add extra notes after what they sing, like they might say staying, and they get a nasal something that happens after they sing song, and they do this extra at the end of words, and that's kind of difficult. Another thing is, if you're working with other people, you want to have it blend. You want to listen. You have to hear what the other person is doing, and that's not the time for show-offmanship. It's not that, because if somebody just starts working and going into a yodel, how do you harmonize with that? We're here to work together, not to listen to you yodel. Okay, unless you have a show shtick that you're going to harmonic yodel together. And good luck with that. But Pat, great point.
Hi. My name is Gerry Hardy. My husband Chuck is right next to me. And when
Howdy.
Dana Shermer came and asked us to do this Agents of Harmony session, I said, well, we do a lot of duets together, and we could show how we started doing duets. In 1993-94, I started calling in 91. Chuck started getting into calling in 93, and then we started working together on duets because we knew we wanted to do most of our dances as a couple. And like Tim said, there is no harmony without the melody. You have to have the melody. And that was the part that we practiced most, was Chuck staying on the melody and me singing the harmony right around him. I could do anything I wanted as long as he stayed on the melody. And it took a lot of practice, let me tell you. It took a lot of practice for us to be able to sound good together, him on the melody, me on the harmony. And so we started with a tune called Remember Me, and I'd like to demonstrate what it sounds like with no harmony. I would be singing unison with him and with harmony. So let's see if I can do this.
I don't know if we're on there or not.
Gonna put it on?
Here,
Oh, you need more music?
yeah.
Okay. Is this one? I don't know which one it is. Okay. Better start it over. We're starting in the opener. And Chuck usually starts.
Four ladies chain across that ring go. You roll away and circle left, go round. Four ladies roll away and there you circle. Alaman left and now you weave the town. Remember me when the candlelights are gleaming. Remember me at the close of a long, long day. We'll be so sweet when all alone I'm dreaming. Just to know you still remember me.
So in the first part, I don't know whether you all caught it, I was singing with him, and that would be unison, and I was in the lowest register of my voice. For the singing call, that doesn't really work for me, so I just went maybe a third above his voice, and that was more comfortable for me, and I sang the harmony. Now, singing harmony is a developed skill. you have to hear it. And I'm a music teacher, retired music teacher. I've been singing all my life, so it kind of came naturally for me to just pop in to the harmonics of the song. But to learn it, you can, if you hear it, you can sing it. That's the way anything is. So hearing the third above is a talent that you have to develop. If you work with the piano or anything like that, you can possibly do it. But singing harmony is an acquired skill, and you have to hear it.
Can you sing that same harmony without the melody?
Yeah.
Can we hear that?
Sure.
You'll sing the melody in your ear.
This is just the opener part. Remember me when the candlelights are gleaming. Remember me at the close of a long, long day. Will be so sweet when all alone I'm dreaming. Just to know you still remember me. Now that's the harmony. There's no melody. Thanks. If you want to sing with a caller that can do harmony, you have to be able to stay on that melody in tune. You have to be in tune. Because the person who does the harmony, if they don't hear you in tune, there's going to be dissonance or clash. So many times I would have to say to Chuck, "You're not in tune," or "think higher," or something like that. It usually comes if you're tired, and most people flatten out if they're tired. We brought quite a few examples today of various things, various singing calls that we do. And if any of you would like to try any of them at any time during this session, I'd be glad to harmonize with you to give you that kind of sense of what it is, of what it sounds like to be able to sing with somebody who sings harmony if you've never done it before. So we have
we'll go through some of them, and then at the end, if you have any questions or you want to participate, we can do it then.
That would be good. Okay. Another song we did in the beginning is "Beautiful Brown Eyes," and that is, I am singing basically a third above Chuck's. And it's very close. We call that close harmony. Barbershop quartets sing in close harmony. But they always have a lead. A lead is the melody. Okay. And then again, this is an opener, so you're going to hear the opening.
Just the way we do it.
Yeah.
Four ladies chain across that ring. You turn and chain them right back home. Join up your hands and circle left. Left allemande, and now you weave the set. We're singing beautiful, beautiful brown eyes. Swing that brown-eyed girl and promenade. We're singing beautiful, beautiful brown eyes. I'll never love blue eyes again.
So I'm just a little bit above him, just kind of blending right in.
And if you notice, we only do the taglines. We don't try to sing with each other on the commands. And that's generally why I'll start usually the singing, because most of the dancers are keyed into male voices, so they can kind of key on mine. And then later on, we'll alternate. Sometimes Gerry will do the commands, and then we'll go to the duet taglines, and then we'll come back to the commands.
But sometimes, if I'm feeling like it.
Later on.
The last figure, the closer or something, I'll kind of back up him on the left allemande or start by the left or something like that, just for a little variety on the harmony. I don't think do we have an example of that? I think it was. Yeah, we could do that. No, I think it's way down the list. But anyway, we could put in Columbus Stockade Blues. One thing that the person who is doing harmony can do is kind of tag what the person is singing in the melody. I'll give you a demonstration of this. Columbus Stockade.
Just the start of it, not the whole.
Mm-hmm. And this is just a talent that you kind of develop. We've been doing these singing calls for a long time.
Circle left, way down.
Way down.
Columbus, Georgia.
Columbus, Georgia.
Well, I want to go back to Tennessee. Left Alabama and do-side-do around your room. Men star by the left one time for me. Turn the partner by the right and go left Alabama. Come back swinging, then you promenade the land. Well, in your heart you love another. Well, then leave a little darling, I don't mind.
So we have a little kind of alternating back and forth, a little, stuff that I do, tagging on him. And that's fun for me. I love to do that sort of stuff. Okay, Tim talked about calling with other callers and blend of voices. Being a female caller, I usually don't sing with other female callers. Because of the tone quality, usually the blend is not that great, unless you have a female caller who's in a much lower register. And then, you can work around that. But Chuck and I found that when we started calling together, the blend of our voices was very good. It was lucky. That's just what it is. It was just lucky that both of us blended quite well. But if you do have a caller that you're working with and the blend is too high, if it doesn't work well, then you can adjust. And you're doing the harmony, you can adjust it a little bit in order to sound a little bit better. One singing call that I do is City of New Orleans, and it is not in my range, the actual melody, so I don't sing the melody at all. I bounce around it a bit. And beautiful noise also. I love the singing call, so I just do a different melody, and it works into the harmonics and everything, but I don't do the actual melody. You want to put that up? Not beautiful noise, City of New Orleans. Feel free to jump in, guys, if you want to. But I'm not doing the melody on this one. So, do you have that?
Yeah.
Okay. Circle left. Riding on the city of New Orleans, Illinois Central Monday morning rail. I left Alabama on a corner, Lady Do-si-do now. Left Alabama, then you weave that ring well. Good morning, America, how are ya? You swing your lady, gonna promenade. I'm the train that called the city of New Orleans. I'm long gone before the day is done. Now I altered it a little bit in there. It's fairly close to the actual melody, but I like the singing call, so I kind of vary it. Some things that we go together, many singing calls have change of key in them, and this can throw some people, that all of a sudden. It doesn't seem to throw Chuck at all, and he has no music background at all, other than he loves to sing. I worked in music education for 23 years, so I know what's going on when we're singing. But he doesn't. But he instinctively changes the key.
Just do what I'm told to do.
Actually, he does a really good job. So, what's the one that we have? The couple of changes. Daisy a Day. This is one of our favorite little songs called Daisy a Day, and it has actually 2 changes.
We'll do the beginning.
In one key, and then on the middle break it changes key up. And it bothers neither of us, but it's something that might bother another person if you choose to do that song.
4 ladies promenade, go inside. Run back home and give your guy a swing. Join up your hands and circle F, go walking. Left allemande and then you weave and sing. Well, I'll give you a daisy a day, dear. I'll give you a daisy a day. I'll love you until the rivers run still and the 4 winds we know blow away.
Then we go to the middle break.
And one of the things we try to do is we're going for presentation of the singing and the voice. We're not trying to trick the dancers, and we're not trying to do fancy choreography. So, you know, we really try to stick it, make it the KISS principle.
Yeah.
We do alternate, and we set it up ahead, and we try to stick to it so that we're not falling all over each other. So usually I'll do the opener, Gerry will do the middle break,
We alternate.
and then I'll do the closer. So this would be her time, the middle break.
Yeah, right. Okay. Now listen. 4 ladies promenade, go inside. It went up just a step. With your guy, join up hands, circle to the left to go moving round. You go, hey, left allemande and you weave. Well,
I'll give you a daisy a day, dear. I'll give you a daisy a day. I'll love you until the rivers run still and the 4 winds we know blow away. Now the closer.
Well, it just moves up one other step, not a step. It's usually just a half step key.
Why don't I
It
just
goes
play
up.
a short bit and not sing it? You can hear it.
Mm-hmm. Goes right through.
Now, the one other thing it brings out, we do a lot of music with vocal backgrounds. The thing you have to realize that Gerry and I can adjust to each other with the music, but if you're putting a record on and there's a vocal background, you've got to hit where they're going to be tagging. So you can hear in that they were coming to the end of the final 4th figure. And if we were singing the 4th figure...
Closer.
Yeah, no, I mean the end of that was, the
right.
end of the 4th figure,
Yeah.
and they were coming in at the end of the figure. They weren't singing through the figure with me, but at the end when we started to sing the tag, Gerry and I would be doing the tag, but we would have to sing with the people on the record. So that's
Right,
another
well-
issue that you have to be careful of.
Got to put on roll is called Up Yonder.
Okay.
I don't know whether you're familiar with a singing called Roll is Called Up Yonder, and I think Gerry Story, Tony Oxidine does the background. I mean, I think there's 3 even.
Yeah.
Are you on that, Tim? No, not that one.
Four ladies promenade, go inside the ring. Run back home and swing, hey, you swing that pretty thing. Join up your hands, circle up, go round that land. Allemande left and now you weave. Oh, when the road is called up yonder, I'll be there. When the road is called up yonder, I'll be there. When the road is called up yonder, and the road is called up yonder, I'll be there. You might not have heard the background, but
Did you hear the background at all?
we can play it separate.
Yeah.
The other thing is they will do the same thing through the figure. So in this record, on this record, you're going to have to adjust your figure to, let's say, relay the deucey, or another figure that's not going to sing through there, doing A chain through, let's say, load the boat.
When the rollers call up yonder, I'll be there. When the rollers call up yonder, when the rollers call up yonder, I'll be there.
So we have to work ourselves around that, knowing when they're going to come in, because they're not going to adjust to us. We're going to have to adjust to them. And in this case, this is a peculiar record, a great record. We do it all the time. But they do the same thing during the figure. So you have to have a load the boat or a relay the deucey, or else you're going to be trying to do choreography over them singing. They're not going to stop for our figure.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. That's great. I think that's everything that we wanted to cover, and if there are any questions later on, we can play anything you want. We have a list of singing calls that we do as a couple, like A Wink and a Smile together is Silver Sounds. Side by Side is Silver Sounds. We got Love, Daisy a Day, and I Don't Know Why. These are just typical songs that we do as a man-wife
So if
duo.
a couple of fellas get together, they may want to make sure that it's appropriate, the kind of duet that they're going to do. Sometimes you may do it in a humorous situation, but you always want to be aware of the words that are going to come out when you're doing the duet.
Okay, Matt.
All right. I'm going to do some demonstrating on how you can vocalize with yourself. And obviously, these are pre-recorded tracks. I can't sing with myself. That would be really cool. That would be a different talent altogether. But yes, when you're singing with yourself, and what I'm doing here is basically it's 4-part harmony. You've got your baritone, your bass, your tenor, and your lead. Now, when you're a lead, you can hit any notes and all the notes that you want to, but when you're singing with other callers, you can't do that because you're stepping on someone else's note. And you don't want to do that because then you're singing in unison. And sometimes when you do that, the person that's singing their part might get lost. So you definitely don't want to do that. So here's one song here. And let's see, I think this is just the, let's see. Is it on?
Why is it coming out of that?
I don't know.
Because it's plugged in the wrong
Plugged
place.
it in the microphone and on the speaker. Or
No.
headphone.
No.
Ours is okay.
It could be, I'm using a program called Audacity,
Yeah.
and it could be that.
Yeah, that sometimes cuts out your output. I have the same problem with that.
There's a function key that'll.
There it is, MP3 streamer. Haha. Okay. So now I should have something.
Lover, lover, you don't treat me no good no more.
Now that doesn't sound real fancy. That's just,
Lover, lover, you don't treat me no good no more.
but that's the baritone part. Okay? So let's add the bass.
Lover, lover, you don't treat me no good no more.
And let's add tenor.
Lover, lover, you don't treat me no good no more.
Getting better. Now we need a lead, and I guess I'll sing the lead.
Lover, lover, you don't treat me no good no more.
All right. So, how about we add music?
Lover, lover, you don't treat me no good no more.
All right. Now, there's another part. Background It's like a call and response type thing. I'm going to say, lover, lover, you don't treat me no good no more. Then you're going to hear other voices saying, treat me good no more. All right? Lover, lover, you don't treat me no good no more. Whoa, lover, lover, you don't treat me no good no more.
Treat me good no more.
Whoa, lover, lover, you don't treat me no good no more.
Treat me good no more.
Listen to the bass note. Lover, lover,
You don't treat me no good no more.
And that's all me singing that. So you can, yeah, thank you. So that's stuff that you can do. I'm using an Audacity program, which is free. It's in my budget. And what I'm using is, it's called M Audio. It's a USB powered preamp. And what I can do is I can go in and I can control the mix later if I want to, and put everything all together, and I can make a split track of myself calling. So actually I'm going to switch and do a different song. What you need? Let's see. I need to unplug this. Let's move this guy here. Now, oops. This goes here. And then that goes into the music. And I'm going to have to unplug one microphone.
What are you doing?
Oh, I have a special cable that I'm using. I'm using the older Square View, because the older Square View program has a right and a left channel. And what I'm doing is I'm splitting the track. So I'm going to have all my music on the left side, and then I'm going to have all my vocals on the right side. And by having this cord, I can, coming out of my computer, the music goes into the music jack, the vocal goes into the vocal jack, so it actually can sound like a live performance. Like, there's callers up here with me that, well, there are, but if you're calling by yourself, this is what you can do. But I can easily control the music and the bass. If for your music and for your tones on your vocal. If I'm working with a group and I'm calling with myself, and if I throw extra things in there and they're not getting it, I can always turn my background vocals completely off, which is nice. Instead of having background vocals in your music, you're kind of limited with what you can do. So this is a song that it's not released yet. It's going to be on Crown Records. No plug there at all. And it's a bluegrass song. And it's called Will You Be Loving Another Man? So let me see. Will you be loving another man? Will you swing that girl in promenade? When I return, will you be waiting? Or will you be loving another man? So I can make those background vocals louder or softer. Same thing with the music. Now, let's go ahead and jump to the end. Waiting, or will you be loving another man? Here's the ending. Four ladies promenade, go one time around. Well, I'm gonna get back home swinging, whirl that girl. Come on, you join hands, circle till the left, go walking around the ring. I'll land that corner with the rain. Will you be loving another man? Will you be loving another swinger now. Will you be loving another man? And then you can turn them up if you want or down. So there you go. All right. So that's if you want to sing with yourself. Yes, these are pre-recorded. Yes. I wish I could sing all the parts by myself, but that just doesn't happen. Hold on. We'll get you a mic.
Where's the wireless? Over here.
Yes.
Who had their hand raised?
It's Rich from Southern California, or Northern. I'm in Northern California. Matt, do you have to wake up at like 5 in the morning to hit those low notes?
My best bass is in the morning, but yeah, no, I don't have to necessarily be up that late. So, but yeah, that helps. But yeah, it's a lot of fun to be able to sing bass, or you know, whatever the caller I'm working with wants to sing. You all say who's going to do what part. That's another thing. If it's just two callers working together, a lot of times, I guess the norm you would say is when two callers are calling together, whoever starts is the lead, and then the other person does the harmony part, either up or down. And then whoever does the figure, they get the lead, and the other person takes the harmony part. Now, I prefer to stay on one part.
And that's if each other has the ability to be able to do those. And if they don't have that ability, you stick to what you do best. Yeah.
Yeah, I would. Is this on? This one is. Okay. Yeah, I would agree on that. Chuck and I work together all the time, so it's just natural. He's the lead and I'm the harmony. But if we have three callers that are working, Don isn't here, but we work a lot with Don Coy, and we don't even talk, actually. We just sing it, because both of us are really familiar with each other's voices, and we're able to just fit our harmonies together.
And I know my place.
Chuck just said he knows his place. I don't know.
But just as Matt has said, if you ahead of time know that each of you can do that. Last night, Mike and I were working off each other, Mike Seastrom, and so it was one of those things where when it was his turn for the lead, I was singing the harmonic. When it was my turn for the lead, it was his turn for the harmonic, and we would flip back and forth. But you have to know each other's abilities and know that that's what we're going to do. Hey, you take the lead, we'll flip-flop. Terrific. If you have that skill, then go for that and make that happen. You have to also be aware that the mic levels have to be adjusted in a certain way so that you're not overriding each other or overpowering the music, especially with multiple callers. The more callers, the more sound that's out there, and it will be real loud fast. So you have to really adjust the volumes down so that the music can be heard and it's not deafening to the dancers.
Sometimes having too many voices is not a good thing. Too many people singing the same part, it can kind of sound like a train wreck right away. So making your ears bleed just a little bit. But I would suggest maybe not having so many callers call, like 6. That's kind of a lot, unless, then they're kind of competing for each other. So, we were talking about the blending of the voices. Also, when you were talking about being too loud, draw your microphone back or bring it in. If you need to be a little louder, bring it in a little. Don't put it right on your lips type thing, but you want it to be far enough away. Maybe 2 fingers is a pretty good length. You don't want to be right on it like that, 'cause then you're starting to distort a little bit. But especially if you're singing higher and you got to hit a real powerful high note, you want to pull that microphone back, because that'll drown everybody else out, and you don't want to do that.
We were talking earlier about having a melody and everybody saying happy birthday to the melody. But we also know that there are counter melodies that can be sung, and there are certain singing calls that offer both. There's a Chinook record called Play Me Some Rag, and it has one melody, and there's a counter melody when done together really sounds well. And they also feature all the voices singing the figures at the same time. It's a head square through in the middle, and they get four hands around. You make a right hand star. And everybody's singing that. And if you have the ability to practice that ahead of time, that's a very effective singing call to have if you're going to use multiple callers. Get rhythm is another one that a lot of people will practice together collectively to be able to have and sing the figures while you're doing that. More often, as Gerry said earlier, you kind of don't want to do that because it can get muddy and very difficult to listen to the calls. The dancers need to hear it before they can move to do it, right? There are also, and Gerry had another example here, where there was a chase melody. You had the melody, and then it was followed with a chase harmonic. And that chase is nice. There's Rhythm Records had one years ago called Lean On Me. One would sing Lean On Me, then one would sing the harmonic Lean On Me. And this one was we just had was Royals When the Roll. And, you know, one says, when the roll, they hold that note, and the other one comes in over that, when the roll, to be able to make that happen. So just be aware there's a lot of great music out there. But then don't feel like you're limited to only ones that are just what you normally hear for a duet. That Daisy a Day, Dear was a perfect example of that, is a song that, or Columbus Stockade Blues is another great example of where a little out of the norm that you would hear with duets, but it works perfect as long as you've practiced ahead of time to make that fit in, and it sounds great.
One of the examples that you may be all familiar with of two melodies working together to form harmony is a round, like Row, Row, Row Your Boat or something like this. You've got two melodies that are working with each other, but at different points of the round, coming in at a different part. Also, something like what Lilith Cotman did at the entertainment. She became Entertainer of the Year. She did Watermelon, Watermelon, Watermelon. That's a good example of little simple melodies, but doing it in a round, it creates harmony. Another one that you may have done if you're in a church choir, Dona Nobis Pacem. That's another beautiful canon. It's actually a canon, not a round, where the last part is sung so that they all stop at the same time. So that was just an aside.
There's also tunes or singing calls out there where while you're singing, you can drop the music off. And if you have a really nice blend between the callers, that's the place where you want it to really shine. And that means soften up the vocals so you can hear each other. And a great example of that was a singing call on Red Boot called Good Night, Sweetheart. And when you really get the vocals going with multiple callers, then you can pull that music down to even off and listen to the feet shuffle on the floor if you have a nice wood floor. And at the same time you hear that movement of the dancers, and then the vocals coming in a nice blend with Good Night, Sweetheart, Good Night. And especially if you know you can practice that last note and hold on to it. Another one is sweet country music. A lot of people will do sweet country music. At the end of it, where most everybody ends, everybody would say, great, super job. But add a grand square at the end of it and do the rest of it a cappella, and then have all those voices come in and blend very well. It's a huge effect on the floor for the dancers, and a great high when you can make that work, right? You want to practice that. Just don't wing that sort of stuff. No,
especially when there's no music. That's even harder to sing harmony, because you don't have that instrument in there to follow. And that's another thing. If you listen to your music, a lot of times you'll hear a lead instrument in there that'll tell you, what to follow along in
We
there.
have a saying called crawdad. Is a crawdad? That there's absolutely nothing to hang on to. It's a great singing called Crawdad Song. And it's a good one for the summertime, too. But if there's actually, you want to play a little bit of that? Yeah.
Just to let you.
No, that's
just the knob, just the volume knob
Yeah, let's just see how
for
it's
the music.
Gotcha.
I can still use this, right? It'll come out, I guess, yeah.
So this is one I have a hard time finding the melody. So this is one of the rare instances where Gerry will start.
Oh, yes, that's right.
I have to remind her usually.
Oh, you get into a rut. Four ladies promenade inside that ring. Hey, come back home, swing your guy. Join up, hands circle to the left to go moving round. You go now. Alaman left and you weave.
Oh, you get a line and I'll get a pull, honey.
You swing your honey promenade. Well,
You get a line and I'll get a pull, and we'll go down in the crawdad hole. Honey, oh baby mine. You want to play it by itself and. You can see where it goes.
Well, it just doesn't. I think if you play it without us singing, you can hear that not much melody. It's there just a little bit.
And then some people do Froggy Go A-Courtin' and sing two different tunes with it.
Yeah, right. It's hard to pick out. It is there, but it's kind of hard to pick out. All right, that's good.
Now, here's a phenomenon that happens in our industry. A lot of the recording producers know that we need to have some form of melody for us to follow. So they'll have a guitar, or they'll put some harmonica in there, or something for us to be able to see. This is the note that we're needing to follow when we sing this particular singing call, if we're sticking to the melody. That's not true for the harmonics always. Sometimes they're there, but sometimes they're not. So you just have to be aware of that. You're not following an instrument maybe. But if you've ever gone and purchased any karaoke music, right, and you think, oh yeah, I sing, let's go ahead and do that. They have no melody whatsoever present at all in that music, mostly. And so you think, where do I start? Where do I come in? You know, all you have is a piano that's kind of playing this accompaniment underneath what the melody is supposed to be. You think, oh, I know this song. Lest the Alaman left and weaves, I can do this. And you get up there and going, I have no idea where to start, where to even put my foot down, or to sing. So you truly must know that song, the melody, because that's the test. There isn't anybody saying, well, this is the key that you need to be singing in and follow these notes. All right, and especially if it's the true karaoke style where you're trying to follow the words on the screen. All right? There's no bouncing ball to say you start now here and let's go on and move on. No, so just that's one of those things. A singer gets up there and sings, and the piano is a true accompaniment to the singer. But you get a karaoke, all you get is the accompaniment player, and you have to carry that melody, the whole thing, all by yourself.
Do you want to take any questions, Matt?
Sure, let's take questions. Also, while the song is playing and you're singing with other callers to harmonize, whatever part you're singing, you could hum it to keep yourself on pitch.
Rich Tobin, Massachusetts. Some of the terms that you're using I'm not familiar with, and I was trying to catch up with some of these that you were mentioning on the fly. Like, for instance, when you said tag, and I think you said carry later on, and I was wondering whether they meant the same. Chase, that's the one, right. Thank you very much. Short-term memory problems. So could you elaborate on that? Maybe.
Well, I've been trying to think of that word for the whole weekend. I said, Chuck, what is that word? I need that word. Yeah, it is a chase. And we did it in Columbus Stockade Blues. Chuck starts way down Columbus, and then I come in just after him. It's kind of it's like a tag, but it's actually a chase. Yeah.
It's
Anything?
It's like it's just a follow-up. And you have Lean On Me, and then there's this person that comes in afterward, a harmonic, that's going to sing this follow-up chase after that. Now, in a lot of our square dance music that the producers produce, square dance style music, they'll have an instrument that's playing the melody, and it's being chased by harmonic. And there's something else that's being played to kind of give it support. And a lot of times, a good producer knows, then they're going to switch to whatever they were chasing with and make that the melody for the next sequence. That's how you guys and gals, everybody knows what figure you're on. Because if it just stayed the same featured instrument for the entire song, then you have difficulty ascertaining when the first figure is, when the second figure is, when the middle break is, because it's the same guitar through the whole song. But they'll flip-flop them on occasion so that you can get the idea that there's a transition between the opener and now the first figure. And oftentimes they'll repeat those over for the middle break and the closer, however way they started. And again, that's all a matter of tricks to the trade that the producers use. And if you have really good music, that's probably why.
One of the songs that we do, We Got Love, has an example of a kind of a chase in a way. This music is great. This is an old singing call. I mean, I've been doing it for years.
Circle left. You.
Oh, you.
You got me.
Oh, you got me.
We got something everybody else can see. Left Allemande, do si do. Hey, left Allemande, now we've, you know.
Well, we don't need no money, honey.
You and I swing promenade.
Well,
Money just can't buy what we've got.
There's
Plenty of. I got you and you got me and we got love.
Actually, I just want to comment. Actually, you know, I knew what you were doing, but I had no name for it ever. Because this is something. Some of these things, some of these concepts that you're presenting, I remember hearing like when I was 8 years old and as a choir boy, and they just kind of stuck with me because they hit me well. And I'm sure that everybody here has heard some of these chases before, but just didn't have a name for it. So that's why I was curious. I'm sorry.
Oh, one question?
Psych.
No questions. Well, thank you. Oh, what? We do have one. Yes?
Hey, Matt, Tim. Connie from Virginia. I noticed that the callers that I know in here can basically sing pretty decently, except for Tom. I mean, anyway. And I know all of y'all know, this is just a out there question. It doesn't concern me, really. But I know that there are callers, unfortunately, that can't carry a tune in a bucket. And I know that a lot of them have now, since most callers are still men, their wives sing with them or a friend or someone. I just thought maybe you could address this issue for those who maybe can't or those who would like to have this addressed so that they do not have all their dancers squinting and putting their fingers in their ears when they do try a singing call.
There's always voice lessons.
Gerry wants to add to it.
When I started calling, I was one of those that could not carry a tune in a bucket. And practice and working with other callers, You can learn to sing reasonably well. I had a friend of mine told me I sounded like a cat being stepped on. And there's songs I'll never learn to do. So I have to select the music I use carefully. But it takes practice. It takes recording yourself and being the one that's squinting. You can learn it as a skill. There's lots of people that have talent. Tom's got tremendous talent, but he's also got a lot of skill.
So some people, if they can't sing, maybe they can talk it. Tim was just going to make that comment that there's some records that have a lot of vocal background. So maybe if you can't sing, let the people on the record sing.
All right, we'd like to thank you all for coming out today. Let's have a hand for Chuck and Gerry Hardy and Tim Marriner, and I'm Matt Worley. Thank you all.